Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's your host Terry, coming to you from Ashtabula County, Ohio, which is part of my ridiculous adventure over the past couple of days, and I'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, last night I was driving across 22, coming across Pennsylvania, headed to my 90, which was in Wintersville, Ohio. And I went past so I came through Altoona, and I went west on 22, and I went through nearby Gallitzin. And the town of Gallitzin is a place I've been before, and the reason I've been there is because I like railroads. I think I find it interesting to see engineering feats. I always think it's like amazing how like all the trains can run into New York City or other big cities, and how stuff is just built on top of itself, just like so many different levels to it. But in Gallitzin sits astride of the Eastern Continental Divide, and it just so happened that by geologic fate, Gallitzin was one of only 5 places in the Alleghenies and down into the Appalachians that you could get east to west. And so, Horseshoe Curve, which in and of itself is an engineering marvel, is outside of Altoona, and that's where the railroad line, and now it's Norfolk Southern. A lot of trains go through there. Amtrak goes through there. But they basically built an entire railroad around this valley. Like, they just overcame physical obstacles. And I always think that's cool, like when I was talking about Knox overcoming physical obstacles to get the cannons from Fort Ticonderoga to Boston. And so in Gallitzin, there are a couple of rail tunnels, and they are really important, and they're quite an engineering feat. But a little background on Gallitzin itself. It's not a big town, but it was named after a guy named Prince Augustine Gallitzin. And it's interesting because Gallitzin himself was known as the Apostle of the Alleghenies, and he founded the town of Loretto, and there's like a seminary and stuff there. And I'm not sure why. I guess he was too self-effacing to name the town of Loretto after himself, but somebody else thought he should have a town named after him in the Alleghenies, and so that's where Gallitzin got its name. And there's also a nearby Prince Gallitzin State Park. But anyway, those Gallitzin tunnels enabled the railroad, and there's 2 of them, or maybe there's 3. I think there's 2, to really get across the Alleghenies. I mean, and we're talking about in the 1800s and stuff. But these tunnels were seen as so strategic that during World War I, the government was concerned that German saboteurs, or German, and remember, these aren't Nazi sympathizers, but Imperial German sympathizers, might try to sabotage the tunnels, thus cutting off this major east-west arterial for the railroads. And keep in mind, back in World War I, things only moved, there was no interstate highway system. They weren't going to truck stuff from Chicago. It all came on train or, barges on the Great Lakes or something like that. So it was a big deal, and they guarded these tunnels. I'm not sure if any German spies ever came over there, or saboteurs ever came over there to analyze what it would take to damage them significantly, but the government was worried about it. So anyway, I went by Gallitzin. If you're into engineering feats, and you're into railroads or the transportation, how this country became what it became, it's an interesting place to visit. And these are nice little towns. Like Crescent is a nice little town there too. It's got small college, and but yeah, those are right in that area. That's actually the Pittsburgh subdivision of Norfolk Southern. So anyway, that's what I was thinking about yesterday. So yesterday, you know, I get a load. So here's why this day was crazy. So I get a load, and it's out of Hazleton, PA. And they're like, oh, we're looking for an empty. I'm like, okay, well, if you can't find one, I can always get one at Hershey in Palmyra, PA. And so then they're like, oh, we found you an empty, and they send me the code. Well, it's to a freaking Sam's Club in Catonsville, Maryland, which is a close-in suburb of Baltimore. I mean, I know the area well, but I'm like, what the crap? I got to go northeast. What do I want to go south down to Baltimore, basically, to get an empty trailer? And they're like, well, we really need these trailers. And, you know, so anyway, I freaking bobtail down there. I get down there. There's 5 trailers at this place. 2 are still indoors, and then there's 3 that are parallel parked, like where you can't really get to any of them easily. So the one they want me to get, you know, and first when I complained about deadheading to get this trailer in the opposite direction of where my load was, they said, oh, we'll give you $50. So I get down here, and the trailer they want me to get is behind another trailer, but they're like end to end. And then in front of the other trailer, these are both prime trailers, is about 40 bales of cardboard. So these trailers have been there for a while. So I'm like, and then there's another trailer that's, I think I can get under, right? That's behind a shed, but they're all just parallel parked in this alleyway. So I ask if I can get under that other trailer. They're like, no, we really want this one trailer to get back on the road, blah, 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 get it back in circulation, whatever they said. I'm like, well, they're going to have to move this stuff. And then they're like, well, will they move it? And I was basically exasperated. I was like, hell, I don't know, you know? And he's like, well, will you go ask him? So I have to walk, because, you know, the back of the store is not open, right? It's not like there's a customer entrance there. So I have to walk all the way around. And this is like in a strip mall, too. So I have to walk all the way around to the front of Sam's, go find a manager, ask if I can talk to somebody in receiving, and see if somebody will move these bales. So they're like, yeah, we'll get somebody out there. And they were nice enough to let me leave through the back door, so I didn't have to traipse back through the store. So I get out there, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to inspect this trailer while I'm waiting for the guy with the forklift to come out. So, you know, and I was already kind of pissed, because then I was going to have to, like, move one trailer, drop it, move the trailer I'm supposed to have, drop it, hook the other trailer up, put it back, then go hook up, you know, so a double drop and hook just to get an empty. Well, then when I start looking at the trailer I'm supposed to hook, the left door on the edge and on the inside is just tore up. And I'm like, I don't even know if this thing will close. So I am able to swing it around and get it closed. But I'm like, there's no way that, because it was so torn up, like that U-shaped piece that like that caps the insulation and is where the rubber seal goes under to secure it. That's all torn up, and actually it was like a 2-piece. I thought it would be just one big strip, but I'm like, this trailer is not going to pass muster, especially at any place where, because I was going to have to drop it at Cargill, right? So it's like, you know, like meat's going in it. They're not gonna be okay with this. So I tell them I don't think this trailer's gonna pass muster. I get with RA. RA's like, yeah, that's gonna have to go to a shop. So then ultimately, after all that rigmarole, then the guy comes out. I'm like, don't worry about it. He probably thought I was crazy. I ended up taking the one I could get under, but it was still difficult. It was still a pain in the butt. So then, I finally get on the road, and I'm gonna, I was late to get there to pick up, but they didn't really care. They were easy to deal with at Cargill up near Hazleton. But so then I start, schlepping across PA, because I just basically got to get over to like Steubenville, Ohio, which is, by the way, is the hometown of one of the greats, Dean Martin, who turned getting drunk and yucking it up with his friends into like a TV show, if you ever remember the Dean Martin roast. I mean, this was back in the day when you could be like smoking and literally like getting hammered on TV, and millions and millions of people would tune in to watch it. And actually, I was a kid at the time, but it is pretty funny stuff. If you go back and watch those, they're on YouTube, of course. There's some pretty funny stuff in those shows, and some of the greats are in them. But anyway, so it wasn't going to be a long trip. But then, so I'm just kind of schlepping across PA with my load of meat, and then this happened. And that caused this. So now I have to stop when I finally do get to Springfield, because the load I'm picking up is going out to Oklahoma. I'm going to have to stop, basically drop that load in Springfield when I get Connie on the truck. And I'm already running a day late to get her because of all this just trailer scavenger hunt, because I ended up doing one today too. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get the whole headlight assembly is gonna need to be repaired. So anyway, that was my first day on the road. And even before I left though, I don't know if it was playing rough with me or what exactly happened, but she hurt her back, so I had to take her to the vet, the emergency vet, because our vet couldn't see her, and now she got all doped up and everything, and she's resting comfortably at home. But I had to deal with that before I got on the road. So yesterday was just, man, just to quote Prince, it was a manic Monday. So today's Tuesday, probably get out to Springfield sometime on Thursday, get this truck in the shop. Hopefully, I'm guessing they probably got parts laying around. So I need the headlight lens, the clear plastic. I also need the assembly that the bulbs go in. And up until I got to this truck stop, the headlight was still working, but I just noticed it quit working. But I got my fog light back up. But the fog light down on that part of the bumper is also like knocked loose. And there was until it started raining, there was a bunch of blood and stuff. But I think what happened is that the deer's head actually smashed into the headlamp, the headlight assembly, because of, you can see, like, I kind of hit him from the back. Not normally they're like you hit them on the side, but this was from the back, so it was particularly gruesome. Because I hit one a few years ago in Ohio with my Sprinter, and I was going 65 into 65, and that was a big fat doe, and it just blasted her clean off the road, like, and there wasn't a mark on her. She just had broken her neck. So this guy didn't, you know, it probably wasn't as fortunate. But, you know, he should have been home with his dear wife instead of out, you know, looking for some strange or whatever. He'd probably still be alive to tell about it. But anyway, be safe out there. You know, the weather's getting sketchy. I saw some snow here on the ground in Northeast Ohio. So I'm running up here to Northeast, that's the name of the town, Pennsylvania. Which is actually in the northeast of Pennsylvania, because the town of West Texas is not really in West Texas. It's like Central Texas. But anyway, running up here, going to get a load that's actually dry, and head down towards Springfield. So I'll get back with you. Thanks for tuning in to Tim Travels. I think I got a feeling there's a lot of news going to be happening this week that involves our industry and just, you know, people in general, and this, you know, and work and stuff like that. So we're going to keep our eyes on it, and we'll be back with some commentary. And also, somebody asked me, I think I had mentioned this in passing in the past, but a subscriber, commenter asked me, you know, why did a lawyer end up driving a truck? And so I'm gonna do a video just on that. I'm gonna kind of walk through that whole process and what happened and stuff. But I think I'm not as anomalous as people think. There are a lot of people out here, a lot of people that are getting behind the wheel over the, you know, in the short term, and also over the past, you know, few years. Certainly a lot of people that are college educated, had other careers, and want to do something different. So, but we'll talk about that. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Be careful out there, like I said, and I'll do the same. Take care.